Hey John.
How's it going?
We're back here talking about tremolos.
I love them.
Why do we have them?
The old wiggle stick.
That's the Brits call it the wiggle stick. I love that.
I love it. It's great.
It's so cute. My wife has a different name for a different, whatever. Let's continue. God, I was getting ready to go into some personal stories there. I can't do that. Sorry, it was a bad moment. I'm sorry if your children are watching.
To provide color commentary. Yeah.
No, but the trem, we were talking about the trem earlier. Like Derek brought up, it's like, does anybody use the trem? Like
Yes.
I mean, kinda. How much do you use your trem in your Strat?
Pretty often.
Is it screwed into your guitar when you play with it?
Yep.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
I don't believe you.
Look at any picture of
I
a
have
live
not screwed my
performance.
trem in decades.
I thought that was a different. That started.
This is a show for children,
Sorry.
Johnny Rob.
Sorry.
Be careful. Read the cue cards.
Haven't screwed your trim in decades.
The one that Derek's like flopping the cue cards over.
I don't know that. Yeah, I've never seen you play a Strat with a trim screwed in.
Part of it is why I don't use pedals too, because I'm lazy.
True.
I'm an inherently lazy guitar player in the fact that I just want to plug in and play. I don't want to have anything. And I used to work around lots of children, and if you have the wiggle sticks around children, they just grab your wiggle stick
It's horrible.
and they just go to town on it.
Horrible.
That was so much fun to say.
I did used to play with this guy, and he would sneak up behind me, and he would like reach around and like
grab your wiggle stick.
shake my wiggle stick. It's hard when you're playing a solo and somebody's shaking your wiggle stick. But it was always really funny. We had a good time. It just open to so many things here.
What are you talking? It's the same thing. I say I'm just happy now.
So I get that not using it. So what about like if you're playing a guitar with a Bigsby, like your Gretsch?
Well, that doesn't count. Bigsby's are a totally different thing. Bigsby's are just like these magical things that you.
They are magical.
But you still don't really need those either. But no, but don't get me wrong. Do we need them?
You're saying that because you're a good guitar player. The rest of us, we need a little gimmick things.
No, but this is the crux though. Do I think we should get rid of them? No, because I still like having it there. Because let's get into why. A, you can do the thing that Sean's like, well, I always do the thing when I grab it. I showed you I do. That's how I do. You little cheater, you're trying to steal it from me. Yeah, I do that a lot. I use my hand like. I wiggle I make my hand be the wiggle stick.
Maybe I just have like little like weak hands because when I do it, I'm like, ow. Why don't I just put it in the stick?
Heard about your weak hands.
But I like 4 springs, and I don't like my floating. I like it on the wood.
Yeah, it's well. There's things about the trem and
Yes.
and the Telecaster and why it's not the Telecaster and yada yada. There's so many ideas, and we don't even know what we're talking about here as far as like no, because we're like, is this a good video about like the trem and what it's about, or is it like why your first guitar should be a Telecaster? Because it's almost the same thing.
I do tell a lot of folks in here looking for their first guitar, especially if they're younger, like kids, like, hey, the Tele's just simpler. You put the strings through these holes and that's it. You don't have to worry about setting it up every time you change strings, or being careful about the bridge doing this thing, or yeah, I think
it's just easy. It's through the body or it's through the bridge.
Right.
It's like those 2 simple ways. Do it through the body. It's just better. And there's no now the thing about the Strat that I do like and why I am primarily a Strat player, there's a little give and take in the bending, like because that whole trem system I have it set to where it just has a little bit of pull to it where it can like loosen. And I have that sort of thing. The thing I don't like is when I hit an open drone tone and I bend and I can't do that. I love doing that. The key of D is my jam. I'll play in drop D a lot.
Yeah.
And you can't do it as well on a Strat.
But that's why I have mine sitting on the little wood thing.
I mean, I can do that too, but again, back to my inherent laziness. It's just set how it is, and
You just make Sean do it. Hey, Sean.
That's a good point. Sean's got other things to do. I know. I was watching like the Novo guitar like factory walkthrough, and the guy was like, man, like asking like John Bollinger was asking the interviewer, the main guy. It's like, well, so when you like you can change your pickups out whenever. He's like, I don't change. Like Mike changes my pickups out for me. So Sean is my Mike, I guess.
There you go. Start calling him Mike. That'd be really funny.
What's up, Mike? Oh, I don't even remember if that's the guy's name.
Whatever.
I just made
It is now.
Generic name.
In
All the
my
mics
brain,
out there, I apologize. So why aren't trems in the Teles?
Well, the good old Tellies were first. They were just I think as Brad Paisley says, a cutting board with a baseball bat.
It's a bow door.
Screw to it,
But why aren't they there?
I do think
there's no real reason, right?
It's no real reason, just tradition.
That's it, tradition. That's all it is. There's no, you can put it, there's been guitars with it.
I think that now, because the Telly's become like the country pedal steel kind of thing, guys trying to play that style of trim.
Well, it's funny because like one of my favorite guitars to play that Zach now has is like, I love the Echo Park Clarence style, which is sort of, it's a modification of one of Leo Fender's last designs that Gabriel came up with, and it's a beautiful, perfect guitar in my mind. It has a 2-point trem system in it.
Yeah.
You can do like a different type of, I like the 2-point just for like that spacing and the way it feels on that guitar in particular.
There you go.
But it's weird, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
And do I use the Whammy wiggle stick in it? No, I still go or grab it. There's something about just it's there.
Even when you don't use it, having that cavity in the springs, it feels different than playing like a Tele, like a guitar with a, you know.
Well, because Derek was saying, like, why doesn't we just have hardtails for everything then? It's a different guitar.
He's like, but that hardtail sounded great, and it did, but it sounds different. I think just the springs and the cavity make it sound.
Derek's like behind the camera going, I can't stop saying it. Don't say them because he's got new.
Speak English. Yeah, right.
Derek has a very thick Cockney accent. It's hard to, most of the time he speaks.
Oh, God, I wish that was true.
We're going to get in so much trouble for that. I mean, it's not that thick. He's more posh. He's from like the East End. Hello. I don't know where he's from exactly, somewhere around there.
Should do like one of those, like the My Fair Lady kind of thing. Teach him to speak all.
The rain in Spain, like gently on the plains. Yeah, the fact we're that cultured. We know My Fair Lady. That was so cute.
Isn't that good? Good?
You know a lot of stuff. You're smart.
It's not really.
I think tradition's the big reason we don't see it, and that's the only reason we don't see it. You know, there are the other technicalities, and like, do we need to have it anymore? People still use it. And we were talking like, you know, before, like let's talk about new guitar players. Most new guitar players that have never seen or played a guitar, they come to a guitar store for the first time, they go on the internet, they don't know what a Whammy, trem, Bigsby, non-Bigsby hardtail, any of that stuff is.
That's why their first guitar should be a Floyd Rose. Anything with a Floyd.
We have shirts we're going to start, says avoid the Floyd.
Can we put that on there, but somehow incorporate Floyd from the Andy Griffith Show?
Yes,
the barber.
That's funny. But Floyd Roses are wonderful inventions in the same way that Pinhead from Hellraiser is a wonderful invention. He's wonderful. I love him, but he's not for the faint of heart.
No.
And it's not for the new to horror films or to guitar playing.
Oh, those little pins. What are they called? What do they call those things? The Cenobites or the
Cenobites. Yeah, Cenobites. What are they called? I thought you meant like the pins in his head.
No.
Those the Cenobites. I like the twin that got the little thing that grinds their face together. Ugh. It's like, don't separate us, please. It's like, don't worry, you will be together forever. And grinds their cheeks together. It's like
That's
practical.
Terrifying.
I love practical effects.
I'm just so glad my parents let me watch that as a young child.
Oh, dude, I saw it. They didn't know. And speaking of practical effects, we haven't gotten distracted in a while. I'm sorry if this is serious. What's going on? But if you haven't seen the original The Thing with Kurt Russell, John Carpenter's.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best practical effects movies in history. It still holds up to this day. It's unreal, and the plot is so good. There's the thing that was made after that. There's an original thing before that. So that's the one you watch. The black and white one, don't watch it. But there's another one that came in the 2000s, I believe, the early 2000s, maybe 10 around somewhere there. It's not terrible. It's actually a prequel to The Thing.
Really?
So it's a lead female character. It's still fun to watch. Not as good, but I like good sci-fi horror films. And sort of like the body invasion ones I find particularly fascinating. I'm a huge fan of the Borg. My wife had to sit there and listen to me watch two 30-minute long Borg history of things on YouTube. She's like, "What are you?"
Fascinating.
I just find the Borg they're like the worst. They're the worst horror film type of enemy in Star Trek, obviously.
Agreed. Yes.
It's just I think it's one of the best sci-fi villains
ever
because it's us, but it's not.
But it's not us. But it is.
And that leads me back to my favorite sci-fi book series is The Vang by Crowley. It's I think, that's his name. I have a blank. But they're not really in print anymore. You got to find used versions on eBay. But The Vang and then The Vang Battlemaster, it comes off of Starhammer was the first, which is kind of okay. It's more of a sci-fi, fun fantasy romp. But The Vang is deep sci-fi horror.
Fair enough.
Awesome. Anyway, that's where The Flood was inspired from for Halo. That's it. Spoiler alert. Not really.
So many things.
Great book. So that's why there's not trems and Telecasters.
It's all connected. It's a circle.
I have no idea how I got on that rant.
It was great, though.
I'm sorry.
I enjoyed it.
I apologize for that. We're almost done, probably. It was a Floyd Rose. And that's how it happened with the Cenobites and everything. Yeah, but no, Floyd Roses are just don't get it for your first guitar. Telecasters are great. I still put people with Stratocasters a lot for their first guitars. Just because...
It's it's undoable or not manageable or that horror. It's
just when you restring it, it's harder. Like,
Still one string at a time in the beginning.
Yeah,
I'm still, though, I'm a proponent that if your Strat's set up decently at all, I always take all my strings off. And
I still don't do that.
Yeah.
For the fear of what the Floyd Rose did to me, like back in like the 90s, and I was like, oh God, I still have the bridge just like up.
And you can just keep tuning, and it just keeps...
It's just like, it's a nightmare.
Anyone who's ever done it.
It's a nightmare. You're like, oh good, I can play my guitar, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's,
Maybe I need a Floyd Rose.
yeah, so like, I mean, like that was sort of the argument that Derek started our whole idea on this with, was just should there be even trems like these Strat style trems anymore?
Exist?
And I'm going to say yes. Even if you don't use it, I think it affects the tone of the guitar a little bit.
I agree.
That cavity, the playability is different.
Yep.
And it just looks cool.
It looks great.
I think the vintage trem system looks just better than the hardtail.
Because I love the SGs with the like Maestros and the Vibrolas. You just put them back. You don't even touch them.
Yeah.
But it just looks cool.
Like that guitar behind me.
Yes.
It's a 1961 ES355, and I'm like, don't touch that thing.
You're not going to touch it.
It would sound so much better without it, but it looks super cool. I'm not going to take it off.
And the different bridges on some of the trims, it just all makes it sound different. Yeah.
I know, and I do love the trims on the SGs. They look so cool.
It looks super cool.
I mean, would it be as good as the normal?
No. Doesn't matter. It's more important to look cool.
Otherwise, all of our guitars would look like Bo Diddley's box.
Yes.
And the Borg.
Would
just like form like a boxed guitar for us, and because that was more efficient. I know. If the Borg takes over humanity, all of our guitars will be the Gretsch Bo Diddley.
Oh God, no contours, huh?
No contours.
No contours.
The efficiency of creation of that. All their ships are cubes, except for some of the sphere ones and then some of the other ones too. They have different size ships.
It's true.
If you get deep into it, are you deep into the Borg?
Maybe I should. Maybe I'll watch some YouTube videos to catch up.
Yeah, there's two. There's one that has like a million plus views. That's really good.
I watched a bunch about the Cenobites and the history of them at one point. YouTube videos. That's why YouTube is magical.
Yeah. YouTube is magical.
Because you can pretend these things are like real history and you can feel educated for a moment and then realize, no, this is about a horrible 80s
well, this is how bad, like I feel so bad for my family. Because like we're sitting there driving in my wife's Subaru the other day, like just driving, like, I don't know what we're doing, just probably going to go get some like food or something. And like the whole family's there, and like my middle-aged son's like, Dad, are unicorns real? I'm like, well, yes. And my wife looks at me and she's like, I'm like, they don't exist now that we can find them, but they existed at some time in history. And she's like, Baxter. I'm like, well, you don't know they didn't. I believe in Nessie, too.
Just like dragons.
I mean, I do believe in dragons. Maybe not like the ones that we see in like, Game of Thrones, but the idea of the dragon.
I'm actually strangely with you on both these concepts.
That's
why we're friends. This is why we're friends.
Never listen to us on anything real. Just guitar things, but life-wise, I'm like, yes, I want you to believe in the unbelievable.
It's true.
And like, it is. It's like it's part of what keeps you a child and like keeps you like happy and like looking forward to the next day, even though work has to come, taxes are due. Your marriage might be on the rocks. Your wife hates you. Sorry. No, but it's just yeah.
That we described our life.
I know. I'm just trying to get back to reality. Now, the real world. No, guitars. It's and like the fantasy of that whole world, and like video games, even and sci-fi movies, and like just even that's what guitar is too. It's like just the joy of plugging in that electric guitar, playing that old sounding amp, that tube's like warming up. And the first time it like the noise comes out and swells. And
blooms.
It does. Swells and blooms. Just like our marriages.
Yeah.
It's exploding.
Derek is going to hate the end of this. He's going to be like, what are you guys talking about?
We're done, Derek. We're out. Thank you for watching.
Hit like and subscribe, click the bell. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Or just go to the next video immediately.
Whatever.
If you're just lost.
That's fine too.
Hey, we haven't gone on a rant in a while.
Lots
it
of
happens.